What's good, peeps? Thanks as always for passing by the channel. Much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. Don't forget as well, please to like and share the videos. You can also support the channel as well. I do have a Patreon account. The link is in the description. All right, coming to the end of the year, I am going to do a few what next videos for some of the biggest names in the sport. I'm not going to do the obvious ones like Joshua, Wilder and Fury, just because we already kind of know what's next for those guys. Plus, I'm actually bored of talking about them. So we're not going to do those guys. I am, however, though, going to start in the heavyweight division and talk about Andy Ruiz Jr. first, the former heavyweight world champion who shocked the world when he beat AJ back in Madison Square Garden, one of the biggest upsets of all time. I can only really think of Tyson Buster Douglas as something bigger, but I'm sure there's been other ones, but that one springs to mind. So it's definitely in the top 4 or 5 of all time. Obviously, that changed his life, right? He made loads of money. We saw him do things like go and visit the Mexican president. It understandably changed his life. He lost the belt straight after against AJ in Saudi Arabia. He did scream on the mic immediately after that fight, saying trilogy. That isn't going to happen. So what next for Andy Ruiz Jr.? I know some people in the comment section are going to say things like lose weight, right? You're right. He does need to lose weight, a lot of weight. Hopefully, he has some time off with his family, enjoys that little time off, and then he's back in the gym immediately. Even if an opponent isn't spoken about, he's back in the gym and he realizes that he has to come down in weight. There's no way Andy Ruiz, 5'11", can be 283 pounds of fat. And that's what it is. I don't care what anyone tells me. It's not exactly muscle or anything. It's just fat. He's overweight. So if Andy Ruiz can come down to something like 250, 260, I'd accept, fair dues. But if he's hovering around that 283, it just tells me that he's not serious. But what next in terms of opponents? He is a name now, right? People do know him. He's a household name because of those 2 AJ fights. He is a former world champion, so it shouldn't be too difficult to get him fights. Dillian Whyte did mention him, and I'm going to do a Dillian Whyte one as well. But Dillian Whyte mentioned him as a possible opponent. Great fight, isn't going to happen. Let's not forget Andy Ruiz is an Al Heyman PBC fighter. So it's more likely his next opponent comes from that rather than a Matchroom or DAZN. Maybe in the future, they might do some sort of cross promotion. But for now, I do think Andy Ruiz's next opponent will come from someone that does fight also on PBC, Fox or Showtime. Sorry. Long week, long day. In terms of possibles, in fact, before that, I did look at the recent WBC rankings, and I don't know how, but Andy Ruiz is number 6 or was it number 7 in the WBC rankings, which was surprising, which tells me that you guys at home, everyone watching this, shouldn't be shocked if we see Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder before we see Deontay Wilder versus Dillian Whyte. It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't even shock me if that fight happened in the summer. I know there's talks about Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fighting 3 times, or sorry, the trilogy in the summer. I just don't see it happening, especially if Deontay Wilder smashes Tyson Fury. Say Deontay Wilder goes out there and ices Tyson Fury in 2 rounds. There's no way they're doing the 3rd fight in the summer. They're not. And I think that's a possibility that could happen. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we see Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder. There was talks about that fight happening anyway, but that was obviously on the condition that Andy Ruiz beat Anthony Joshua. It didn't happen, but it still could be a big fight, right? Former world champion. It's not like Andy Ruiz got beaten up as well against AJ. Former world champion versus current world champion. But does Andy Ruiz get a shot at Deontay Wilder, especially if he sits out this period after coming off a loss? I don't think so. So let's look at other possibilities. Again, we're looking at that PBC kind of banner, if you like. Gerald Washington? Probably not. Gerald Washington was actually in Saudi Arabia. He's one of the chief sparring partners for Andy Ruiz, so I can't see that fight happening. Kalnacki? People have mentioned Adam Kalnacki. It's strange because Adam Kalnacki was one of the first names that I think Eddie Hearn reached out to replace Jarrell Miller. And he turned it down because I think he said he wasn't fighting shape or couldn't get ready in 4 or 5 weeks. He turned it down. So that could be a good one. 2 guys floating in and around that top 10, right? Kalnacki, I've seen a lot of top 10 lists right now, and Kalnacki seems to be the number 10 or number 11. So that could be a good fight. Andy Ruiz still, I think, around number 6. That could be a good fight. It's a big fight. Again, Andy Ruiz now, it's a different proposition. He's now a big name. It's not the same Andy Ruiz prior to AJ. This is now a big name. He's a big draw, I think. So Adam Kalnacki could be a good one. What about Luis Ortiz? Luis Ortiz coming off a loss. Is that a big fight? Don't know. I mean, yes, he lost, but he lost to Deontay Wilder. He was doing well. He was winning the fight. Literally won every single round until he got knocked out. So that could be a good fight. But two guys coming off a loss, I don't know how you sell that one. Same with likes of Dominic Brazil. I don't know how you sell that one. If I had to pick a name out of the guys I just mentioned, I think Kaunaki makes sense. Kaunaki is a risky fight, but it makes sense. But it's all down to Andy Ruiz Jr. What next is really determined by what Andy Ruiz wants next. How serious is Andy Ruiz? He seems like he has something to prove, right? I mean, he's probably seen the criticism. I've seen a couple of tweets from him saying, he'll be back and he's going to be back better, faster, stronger, etc. Let's see. Let's see. I mean, he got paid a lot of money for this rematch. We're hearing something like $13 million, $7 million for the first fight. So $20 million plus all the little endorsements he's been getting as well. Let's hope he can kind of get back that hunger, that challenger mentality. Let's hope he can get that back. If he can, and if he can lose some weight. So if we can see Andy Ruiz again around the 240, 250, it's a lot of weight to lose, but if we can, then it's a completely different Andy Ruiz. Because we know he can punch, he's got fast hands, he needs faster feet, and you can only do that by losing a bit of weight. So it's going to be very interesting next year for Andy Ruiz, very interesting. Is it just a case of he's going to disappear into the distance like a Buster Douglas, or is he going to come back and say, you know what, I'm still here, I can fight for a world title again, I can mix it with the top guys? I think the latter. I think he's going to prove to people that beating AJ the first time around wasn't a fluke. I think he is going to get in shape. And I think he's going to be a problem for anyone who fights in 2020. I really do. I don't know if they chuck him to someone like a Kaunaki coming off a loss. I don't know. But it'll be a very interesting 2020 for Andy Ruiz. And I do hope, and look, we can hope, I guess. I do hope that Matchroom and Top Rank and PBC can all work together. Because, yes, I mentioned those guys, but I would love him to fight some of the Matchroom DAZN guys. So Joseph Parker, Povetkin, Hunter, Dillian White, Chisora, and maybe even the guys on Top Rank. Kubrat Pulev is over there now. Jarrell Miller's back. So there's loads of names. I think Andy Ruiz is definitely going to be in the mix come 2020. What do you guys think? Let me know. Peace.